Well, good evening.
How are you?
How are you getting on?
I'm all right.
This is amazing, isn't it?
Well, to be with me?
Yeah, literally, to be with you. The idea that County Down could produce two lookers like us, Jimmy, within 10 years.
I know. 10 years?
What, 12 years? 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's good.
We've done all right.
Thanks for coming along.
No worries. Very happy to be here.
Lots of stuff to chat to you about. I suppose we should start with The Tourist.
Yep.
Congratulations on The Tourist. Are we watching that, yeah?
Thank you.
The first series was, if anybody's living under a rock, this was an Irishman who went to Australia, woke up, couldn't remember anything, which is pretty much every Irishman that's ever gone to Australia, would you say?
Pretty much, yeah. That was certainly my experience of it before I shot The Tourist.
Yeah, not a spoiler alert, really. No. You're not in Australia this year. No,
we're not. We were only meant to do one series, you know, and then that many people watch something and, you know, people change their minds about what happens next. And, yeah, I said, look, I am open to the idea of a second series, but I couldn't possibly bring, my kids went to school out in Adelaide. It's a big undertaking for the family to do that, and I just wouldn't do that to them again so soon after. And so I said, like, if we can do it closer to home, and if it's something that can make sense where we're not in Australia anymore, that would be great. And luckily the writers, Jack and Harry Williams, had an idea of it being set in Ireland, and I was like, that works.
That works?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
And we have a little clip of you doing your stuff.
Okay.
Here he is.
Yeah, good.
There's quite a spectacular beard.
There is, yeah.
In episode 1. I mean, it's kind of very ZZ Top meets Jerry Adams.
Yeah, well, yeah, you hear me speak, it's probably more Jerry Adams than ZZ Top.
Lots of people loving the beard, and obviously you being a fashion icon, lots of people now sporting this look.
Aye, okay.
This is how the band actually turned up.
Oh, look at that, yeah. That's ZZ Top. Right?
What do you think? I mean, that's...
Yours should be grey.
Do you want to just... There you go.
Why is mine brown? Do I actually have to do this?
I mean, well, you don't have to, but I mean, it looks a lot more ridiculous if you do. There you go. It is. Okay.
That's what we'll look like when we're older, just like sitting in some pub unemployed.
I would say there's a lot more chance, Jimmy, if one of us sitting in that pub unemployed than the other one. But if you're buying, I'm happy enough for that.
I'd buy you a pint, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much stuff you've done, so many movies, so many big shows, but The Tourist kind of covers... It covers a big period in your life, you know, where there were lots of ups and downs.
Yep.
I remember whenever you went out to film The Tourist, and, you know, you got to Australia and you got the news about your dad.
Yeah.
Which was
rough.
The worst place to get news like that.
Yeah, it was unimaginably difficult. Yeah, we were in a hotel quarantine. I was in a hotel room with my wife, 3 kids and a nanny. And yeah, my dad died when we were in the middle of that. I still had 3.5 days of quarantine left, so I wasn't allowed to leave. There's no compassionate grounds. I tried to get the production to, like, you know, I said, like, you can test me 100 times a day if I have COVID, but I need to get out of this room. Like, I was in pretty severe grief, obviously, and shock. But no, they wouldn't allow it. So yeah, it was an extremely difficult time in my life. I say, like, you know, The Tourist, it's a mad thing to say, because The Tourist, we shot The Tourist that year, and Belfast came out that year, and a lot of things changed for the better in that year. But I think it was the worst year of my life, actually, weirdly.
Yeah, because you know, your dad. A lot of people from Belfast, you know who your dad was. Like, your dad was.
Everybody from Belfast knows who
I
my
mean,
dad
your dad in Belfast is more famous than you.
Way more famous than me.
So tell us a wee bit about your old fella.
Well, my dad was an obstetrician, gynecologist, and for majority of his career was at the Royal Maternity, and as a result of that, he delivered over 6,000 babies in the north. That's pretty much everybody in that part of the world was delivered by my dad. So you can only imagine the amount of times people come up and I'm like, oh, here we go, this will be nice. I'm a fan of mine. Only to be told that, your dad delivered me and my mum said he was the most handsome man in Ireland. And that you're not a patch on him. So I get that sort of thing a lot, which is nice.
And at one point, I didn't know this, that he could have been an actor. He had a place at RADA.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was offered a place at RADA. Dad went to, remarkably, Dad, for a year when he was in junior school, prep school, he went to an all-girls school for a year as the only boy. And then for senior school, he went to an all-boys school. And when they were in sixth form, they did a production of Macbeth. And someone had to be Lady Macbeth, and that was Dad. So Dad played Lady Macbeth to great acclaim, I'm told. I was told a lot. And got won the drama prize and all this stuff at school. And the head of drama at Bangor Grammar, where he was at school, her friend was involved in admissions or something at RADA, and yeah, offered Dad a place if he was interested in coming to RADA. But different time, his parents were like, no, that's risky. You go and become a doctor, and he did all right.
Well, he did all right, and if he had taken that place up, then he wouldn't have met your mum.
No, totally. Yeah, they met.
So
Mum was a nurse at the Royal, and they met at the. If you can believe it or not, they had an outdoor swimming pool at Belfast Royal Victoria Hospital, and it's not. There's a car park now, and. Yeah, Mum was getting out of the swimming pool, and Dad saw her when they were junior doctors, and that was it.
And the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
So that time when, you lost your dad, he died from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was a long time before you could get back to Belfast. I think it was the Belfast premiere, really, wasn't it? Was the first night that
I got back just before that, probably, but Belfast, the premiere was in... I'd managed to get back in August or September, maybe, and the Belfast premiere was in November. It was a highly emotional night anyway, because we're bringing... You were there, you were comparing it, but it was... Jesus, what that... It's obviously a very personal movie for Kenneth Branagh, but for all of us, particularly the cast who are from there, it just meant so much to be telling a story like that and actually showing people caught up in a conflict as human beings and not people running around in balaclavas in the dark. It was really important, I think. And so it was emotional anyway, and then, Ken actually...
He dedicated the movie to Dad that night.
So I was sat there, both my sisters, my auntie, my dad's sister, and they were just like weeping before the movie even began. So it was a special, very emotional night. Yeah.
Tell us a story. Your dad almost delivered your firstborn, or he was on standby.
He did. So I got cast in 50 Shades 4 weeks before they started shooting, because someone else had pulled out, and so it was just mad. And Millie was 37, 38 weeks pregnant. And all our focus was on that, obviously, as it is. Your first child, second child, you're still focused, third, you're whatever. But it was just like our life was going to change in this monumental way. And then suddenly I got cast in this thing that I knew was going to just create a lot of madness.
Which was going to be filmed in Vancouver?
In Vancouver. And we weren't allowed to fly commercially at that stage because Millie was too pregnant. So the universe had to get us a private jet, and then we had to have it in a contract that my dad would come in case my wife went into labour on the flight. There needed to be an obstetrician there. So Dad obviously raised his hand for that trip, free trip in the private jet to Vancouver, and somewhere over kind of New York, about halfway across, I saw Dad just call over the air stewardess and order gin and tonic. I was like, I know, Jesus, Dad, like that's I don't know, like, this is a big thing, would sort of like you to be, you know, ready. And he was like, oh, son, like, you know, even if she starts her contractions now, she won't be going into active labour till we're landed in Vancouver. By that point, it's taken into someone else's hands anyway, so that was it. Dad just had about 4 gin tonics.
I mean, I remember that time for you because that was a mad time in your life, because that was like the biggest movie in the world.
Yeah.
And weirdly, it wasn't scratching the itch for you. Am I asking that in the wrong way?
I think
I maybe am.
They've made a choice to make that sexual.
Yes, they have.
And that's on them, Patrick.
Okay, good.
I don't know. It was just this massive leap. It was just this mad thing from, you know, The Fall had come out and I'd got a lot of big praise for that, and I was like really excited about just staying in that kind of world, that kind of gritty television dramas, I guess. And there was a lot of that stuff offered to me post The Fall and all the good stuff that came from it. And then suddenly I just got offered this, whatever it is, like,
no, I mean, it's
mad, you know.
It's a blockbuster movie. It's a
Blockbuster
huge
movie.
commercial
Yes,
movie.
yeah, totally, and has its own huge sort of momentum behind it already because of you know everyone in the world, you know, whatever language you spoke, knew of those books, and so you know I knew I was up against that, so I knew what the feelings were.
But that for me is something like knowing you. I think there's always been that element of you which is, you see yourself as an underdog who has always sort of felt you got to prove something. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. And the fact I come from a modelling background, and that's a big stigma that as an actor you're always trying to get away from. And look, I does not need, you know, I don't need much encouragement to live with a sort of watch this attitude. I'm very fire lit under my arse sort of person. I've always felt like that from being, you know, obsessed with rugby and not being the biggest guy, but loving, you know, always having to feel work harder and all that sort of stuff, and being small from a year. And I've always felt like I've had to really, I've had a point to prove my whole life. Yeah.
How much of, you know, your teenage years and what happened, you know, with your mum and then your friends after that, how much did that, in a way, bulletproof you for what was coming down the track work-wise?
I think it's hard to quantify what that was really, but
because your mum died when you were what?
Just turned 16,
yeah.
And then 4 mates were killed the next summer, 17. So yeah, yeah. Well, look, what can you do when something like that happens? Jesus Christ. I've always felt that I just had my worth of grief and heartache and loss in a sort of 13-month period, and I think that kind of made me resilient for other stuff maybe that's come my way. And I think a lot of people would say about me that I don't really get too hung up on small things not going right. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty that's fine, because this happened to me. I dealt with this when I was at an age of too young to deal with that. So yeah, I think it's certainly given me resilience, and it's made me a lot of the positive things that I maybe have about myself that I think weirdly maybe come from that loss. And it sometimes feels like an ugly thing to admit anything positive coming out of a loss like that, but you have to.
Look, I mean, I feel the same about it too. I mean, like, you know, I lost my dad whenever I was 16, and it's that weird thing where, you know, yes, it's a terrible thing, but as time goes on, you realise that there's something in there which you can use and take with you, and I think you've done that.
Absolutely agree, yep.
I look at you now, and whenever we sort of chat, is this the most content that you've been, do you think?
I do feel that, you know, it's funny, like, I think career-wise, it's as good as it's been. You know, I had 3 or 4 things there in a row that came out, just got very well received, and Belfast right in the middle of all that, and I've got a big, you know, a load of choice over when I work and who I work with, and you know that's like seems unachievable when you're starting off in this industry that you'll ever have a say over it. You know, you just think you have to do whatever job's given to you. But so no, I feel like I'm in a really good place. I'm very excited about all the stuff I'm doing, and yeah, just a load of really exciting stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, home life has always been good. Like, I'm lucky there. You know my wife well. Like, she's class, and our kids are unreal. So, yeah, I actually do feel really content. But then, you know, it's only the fucking industry, the way this works, you know, and then it's just like one person in the Irish Times or whatever to say something negative, and then you just wax you back down again. So,
like you know how much I love you,
yeah.
and right, you do, and
I love you.
I just want to say that thanks for coming and chatting to me tonight, and also I just want to say that I really think you're only getting started. I really do, and we're all so proud to have a ringside seat.
Thank you very much.
One more time.
Thank you.